Hiya, hiya. This is dedicated to Kat Miller, who's in Buffalo. I've decided to dedicate my shows, each one of them, to a different person. They do that with buildings, bridges, tunnels, and that happened with the governor of New York just before he left with his girlfriends. That's the wonderful Andrew Cuomo. And you know what happened with him was he named the bridge, which was the Tappan Zee Bridge for 100 years. That's where George Washington went across to Jersey with the troops to hide. Or was it New York? Where did he go? Anyway, it was still New York, I think. Yeah, when he went across there. But whatever, historically, it's the Hudson. And that was a Tappan Zee Bridge. You used to pay to go over that thing. So they decided to redo it, and they named it the Mario Cuomo Bridge. And what happened was, I think what happened with Governor Cuomo is that he burned his bridges. That's that's what happened. Can we move this mic a little? You can get a better idea of the bird. Where this is her natural habitat. I'm in her cage. And I'll tell you, I frightened the hell out of the bird. I mentioned about moving to Buffalo because, did I mention that? Yeah. Because I want to go to South Buffalo, like way south. Not Cheektowaga. Where is this thing? Did I have that? Oh, yeah. Let me show you. Buffalo's suffering from inflation. You know, you should see that everything is bigger than it was, costs more. This is a buffalo wing now. You know, I mean, everything got bigger. Also scares the hell out of the cockatiel. She doesn't like that. They don't like seeing other fowls being desecrated. Now, I do have Reynolds Wrap. This is a Reynolds Wrap. And it's just like my regular show. It's a non-stick. Nobody ever remembers anything, which is good, actually, because then I don't get in trouble. If I had a movie, a Western movie, and I shot someone by holding the gun, did I pull the trigger? This is like, I mean, I'm watching this thing with a really good eye. I love the actor. I think we have had a lot of good Westerns with Clint Eastwood. They were called spaghetti Westerns years ago. And he was, oh my, what was the one that where they had the whistling thing for the theme song? I mean, he did so many good movies, and he always pulled the trigger. So Alec Baldwin got in trouble for he owned a production, so that's his company. And I guess they say that he didn't hire enough people. He was cheap and didn't hire the right people to test all the equipment. That's one angle. But the fact of the matter is he shot his friend, and he missed her, I'm sure, and of course grieving that. And I think also everybody on the project, they all were very stunned that someone actually was sloppy enough to load a gun. But he says now he didn't pull the trigger, and he was on with George Stephanopoulos saying he didn't pull the trigger. Was there a phantom on the set or something? This is the phantom of the ranch. I mean, somebody pulled the trigger. A gun doesn't just go off. It's not like my mouth where it just goes off and it doesn't have an end. You know, I mean, this is really what happened. That somebody lifted up the gun, and it was Alec Baldwin, and pointed it at that girl, and she got shot and died. Now, this is a society we live in where the media has turned the public into a jury. We don't give things enough time for anybody to take a breath. What we do is we immediately put something on the air, and then we make a judgment. You know, we're pointing at somebody because we want to be the head of the fault-finding committee in America. I think somewhere we're telling people to ignore the facts and just go with what the results. And then it becomes emotional, you know, where I feel something, but I didn't have a chance to research it or vet it. You know, in Beverly Hills, there was a very famous record executive, music executive, who was the godfather of the black music community in South Central Los Angeles, whom I happen to know. And I was good friends with a lot of his friends. Matter of fact, I was partners. If you watch the Reynolds series on my Joey Reynolds series on the YouTube, the interview with Chester Pipkin, who is now a minister, but he was famous for producing and arranging and writing a lot of great songs, hit songs. He was in that music culture, and he was my partner. He was my music partner years ago. Then he went into the ministry. He's a wonderful example of somebody who, during the struggle of South Central finding its own way, which incidentally where Barry White's from, and I got a Grammy with Barry White for the album cover for Ecstasy, I think it was, not the drug, but the album. Is that the one we got? Anyway, I worked with him. I worked with Barry White, and he's from South Central. They always struggled in that area. That's where Staples Stadium and our arena is. They're still calling it that. They name it after somebody who's willing to pay for it. And this is a big city, Los Angeles, with a segmented area near the airport and through the hills, the Baldwin Hills it's called, and it's the South Central area, and there's a lot of poverty there. Plus the Midnight Mission is there. And incidentally, while I'm on the subject, let me tell you something. One of the great people, I could say this on the air, is Dick Van Dyke, who was Mary Poppins. You know Dick Van Dyke, right? In addition to his television career, he was a very wonderful server with a guy named Clancy, who was one of the Alcoholics Anonymous fathers of the current Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. They were called the Pacific Group back then, and he had the Midnight Mission, which was the homeless. And those people who suffered enormously, even during the whole outing with HIV, which was in denial, and Governor Reagan is from California. He didn't even want to acknowledge it when he was president at the beginning. It took a long time for him to come around. And then when the AIDS situation got settled in L.A., which is a inherently, I would say, a sexual town, because people are screwing each other all the time, if you'll pardon my pun. But there really are a lot. There's a lot to the story. I took Morton Downey Jr. after he was through with his television career in New York, and he was one of my best friends. And I took him on the streets of South Central, and I followed him around with a couple of cameras, and we did a lot of what would have been the first reality show, actually, and not the one that he was doing on the set, but this was talking to people on the beach, on roofing, in bars, talking to everyday people. And in front of the unemployment office was an AIDS victim who couldn't get any money out of the normal procedure, and he lived out of his car in front of the unemployment office trying to get some money so he could have food. It was tragic, but Downey did a great job of talking to him. Only thing that I didn't like about Mort Downey is he smoked. Other than that, I killed him too, I think. But he was really a great guy, a humanitarian. He talked to people very well, although he was famous and came from the most famous father in the country was at one time was Morton Downey, the Irish tenor, and he was friends with Joseph Kennedy, whose son became President Kennedy. This is all part of people who knew everybody. And the point is that this was in South Central in Los Angeles where we did our filming. And I was friends with Ernie Freeman, who was a great arranger in California, also black man. And he said to me, you got to go to Pink's because they got the best grease in town. And Pink's is the place you go if you drank too much. You go over there at 3 o'clock in the morning. But other than that, they have good hot dogs. And my friend Shotgun Tom has an account over there, but you got to be careful. It's very fattening. So anyway, these are just a collection of my thoughts today, because it started with Alec Baldwin, and I feel sad because he looks defeated, and I don't know what to say, because somebody got killed, and it was his production, and he held the gun. They call it the smoking gun. And when they used to say that guns don't kill people, people kill people with guns. And I don't know. I mean, why are we putting this on TV in a trial? We did this with O.J. Simpson. We dragged that out. Speaking of South Central, we dragged that out for a year, and we got entertainment out of a double homicide. There's nothing entertaining about crime except America's obsession with it. we do the podcasts on crime shows. It's stunning, and women love them. Oh my God, that's the biggest audience in the world. So there's a lot of vice in all of this, and it's, I mean, examine your own conscience. Why are you watching someone else get killed and get hurt and be buried? And it's a bird's eye view, is what it is. Is she eating my wire? I'm Italian. We don't like wearing a wire. Even modern Italians, they've gone to being wireless. All right, this is it. It's a non-stick. I hope you forget this conversation. It's a Reynolds wrap, non-stick. What is it, my story, and I'm sticking to it? It's a Reynolds wrap.